Hey everyone, Karnak, Star Wars Armada Explained. It's your buddy, it's your pal. I appreciate you watching the video today. We're going to be looking at another title card today. We're going to look at one for the Republic, for their Charger. We're going to be looking at Swift Return. So Swift Return is just, it's a neat title. It's a neat title. It does neat things. Like, do you want your maneuverable ship to be more maneuverable? Yes, then Swift Return is the title for you. We'll bring out its navigation chart here for referencing later. So Swift Return, let's dive right in. In front of its name, you're going to see a little dot or bullet point, signifies that this card is unique. You can only ever have one Swift Return in your fleet. Bottom left-hand corner, you will see the icon of the ship, meaning what ship it equips to, which is the Chargers. Opposite corner, you're going to see it's faction specific. It's for the Grand Army of the Republic, and it's only 3 points. 3 points for such an amazing ability. What's its ability, you say? Let's read the card. During your determined course step, if you are at distance 1 to 2 of an obstacle, you may change your speed by 1 or increase 1 yaw value by 1. So, in a nutshell, if you're near obstacles, you are allowed to change your speed or change a yaw. It's very similar to how a navigational token works. Token, you know, words are hard for me sometimes. So, how does this play out on a table? So, normally, when you're maneuvering your chargers, let me lay down the maneuver template here. Depending on the speed you're traveling at, you can see there on your navigation chart that the ship can go up to speed 4, so 1, 2, 3, or 4. And that depending on the speed it's traveling at, it has different clicks of yaw, which again, you know, yaw, there's either 0 clicks, which is symbolized that horizontal dash there, and then the vertical dashes, you know, you can either have a click of 1 or a click of 2. You'll see the vertical dashes simplifying how many clicks of yaw that you get. And again, maximum yaw, there's only ever 2 on a maneuver tool. You can't, there's no more than that. So even going, you know, at the fastest speed, you can go at speed 4. You can see there at speed 2, it doesn't have a nav click, but everywhere else, it's, you know, it's getting at least 1. And when it's traveling at slower speeds, you know, that first yaw click, we can see there, it's getting the 2. So how is this card already benefiting a ship that's already, you know, fairly maneuverable? Well, it allows you to do some crazy swings and things like that. And again, this doesn't require using a navigation command. So, you know, these command 1 ships, they love throwing Confire if you're bringing like the red dice tossing one. So let me give an example. So if for an obstacle, let's just go and pull an asteroid. You say that, you know, the ship is going speed 2. And, oh no, I didn't queue up a navigation command. I'm going to overlap this obstacle. But, guess what? During my determined course step, I can see I'm at distance 1 to 2 here. And again, I'll break that down in a second. And now I can go up to speed 3, and I can, you know, change my maneuver chart. And now I can, as you can see here, maneuver out of the way of that asteroid field. But let's break it down. Let's go through step by step. So during your determined course step, so when is your determined course step? So remember, when a ship is conducting movement, it does so in 2 parts. Part 1 is your determined course step. This is when you're physically pulling the maneuver tool, you know, in your hands and putting it on the table. And when it's on the table, you are now determining the course of your ship. You're in that step. In this step is when you also can decide you want to use like card effects, or if you want to resolve a navigation command. You know, when it says in your determined course step, this is when you use either, again, your commands like dial or token, etc. Which can change, you know, how you're going to determine the course on your navigational tool. The second part of moving your ship is called move ship. This is accomplished when you say, okay, I'm done fiddling with my foot-long stick. Oh, that came out so wrong. I apologize. I'm done messing with my maneuver tool. That still doesn't sound very good. You're just done. And how you signify that you're done and ready to proceed on to the next step from determine course to actually move ship is you lock the maneuver tool into the ship. So for left hand here, like if you're on Vassal, you'll see where it says notch, you know, you notch it. You're saying, hey, this is the move I'm dedicated to doing. Now you're in move ship, which is actually physically picking up the ship and placing it in the position, relative to the speed it's traveling, and in any yaw changes or anything else like that. That is how a ship conducts a movement in Armada. Again, step 1, determine course. Step 2, move ship. So when you're determining your course, which again, you're messing with the tool, you can be like, how can I utilize this card? Well, if you are at a distance of 1 to 2 of an obstacle, again, you can change your speed by 1 or change one yaw value by 1. So how do we determine that if we are at distance 1 to 2 of an obstacle? Well, if you bring up the distance band on Vassal, again, you have your tool and you can determine distance. So distance 1 is this black circle here. Distance 2 is the red. Then you have 3, 4, 5, etc. So when you're determining if you're at distance of this obstacle, how do you range check this? Well, you measure from closest point to closest point. So obviously, if you're right next to it, you're at distance 1 to 2 of it. Even if you're in the red band there, again, you're at distance 1 to 2 of it. When you're making the determination ranging from the ship, you're measuring from the physical plastic base to the closest point of the obstacle. You're not measuring from cardboard. You're not attacking anything. You're doing an effect check. And again, that's from the closest point of your ship to the closest point of the obstacle. If I draw from this line here to here, the plastic to the closest point. So that means that even though if we zoom in here, I'm just barely touching that distance 2 circle with barely the corner of my ship, that is technically at a distance 1 to 2 of that obstacle, ranging from the plastic. Now, you do not range from shield dials. Shield dials don't count. Shield dial frames don't count. It needs to be the physical plastic base. All right. Just making sure I'm being clear on that, because a lot of people don't get that correct, and I just want to make sure people understand how that works. I'm here looking out for you. Okay, so we've determined we're at distance 1 to 2 of this obstacle in front of us. So now we've placed the maneuver tool. Let's say that this ship is already going at speed 3. So we're already going at speed 3, which allows us a nav click at 1, 1, and 1. So because we're at, let's say we're not resolving the navigation command. So we're already, going at speed 3. Maybe we want to go to speed 4. So if we choose to go to speed 4, we get the 1 click here, no click on 2, and we can do a 3, and then we can do a 4. And a move like that, we would clear the asteroid field, no problem. Or if we want to stay at speed 3 and instead we want to increase our yaw, let's say we're going to increase the yaw instead of, we've got the 1 and 2 and in the 1, 1, and 1 at speed 3, for example. Well, let's say maybe I want to do the extra on 3 here. Again, clearing the asteroid field, or the extra down here. I love these ships going at speed 3 because of exactly this reason here. You can go inside turn, and then you can just do all sorts of just neat things because you're able to just kind of jank that tool. These ships can fly on the inside path. And yeah, as long make sure for speed 1 ships this isn't a problem, except if you're moving at speed 1, just make sure that you're not overlapping the tool when trying to move. Like, for example, a move like that is illegal. Your final position needs to be a legal placement. But this is what makes Swift Return so great, is not so much that you ever really need the speed jank, it's the yaw, the extra yaw that you're going to get. Because if you do spend, again, using the same example, it's going at speed 3. If you do spend the navigation token, or excuse me, not token, navigation dial, and you have Swift Return, well, now you can either change your speed by 2 or yaw by 2, and you can just do all sorts of crazy things, especially if you're going at speed 4. Let's say we're going at speed 4, we can do a 1 and a 2. We've used the navigation dial to put an extra nav click there, and now we can do another click up here. That's natural, and then we can do 1 and 2. You just do all these crazy things with Swift Return, which is why it makes the red dice version so tricky to get after, because it's just flying all over the place. All right, I think I've touched enough on how the card works. Moving on to some other things here. So what constitutes an obstacle? Well, on the right hand side over here, we're going to see not these. All the obstacles are in the game. We've got the exogorphs, dust clouds, purgles, gravity rifts, station, etc. Now, one thing I do want to be certain about mentioning is that for the station obstacles, regardless if you're playing like contested outpost or if you're playing like station assault, the stations are still considered obstacles. Even if the station in station assault is destroyed, it's not removed from the play area. It's still treated as an obstacle. It's still there, meaning that its obstacle ability will still affect upgrade cards like this card or Captain Burnson. Okay, want to make sure it's being crystal clear on that. Another thing is, again, this works for each of your determined core steps. So if you have a card like Engine Tech's equipped, for example, let's go ahead and flip this guy over. So let's say that you did resolve a navigation command in a determined core step. And again, you use this card affecting your determined core step. Let's say he's going speed 4 and you did some crazy janky thing like this, for example. There we go. So he's going speed 4. You resolve the navigation command. Going 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove the tool, so straighten, remove the tool, and say, hey, I resolved the navigation command. I executed a maneuver. Now I may exhaust this card to execute a speed 1 maneuver. Exhaust this card. Again, you can use Swift Return. There's really no... for using Swift Return, again, you have to be near that distance 1 to 2 of an obstacle. Again, you're forced to do a speed 1 maneuver. You can't suddenly make it a speed 2 maneuver because that's not what the card is allowing you to do. What you can do, though, is you can adjust the speed on the ship's speed dial. So if you were going speed 4, you can still say, hey, you know what? I'm going to use Engine Techs. I'm going to reduce my ship speed from speed 4 to speed 3. Just because maybe now I suddenly want to slow down a little bit, and then I execute my maneuver, because the speed 1 maneuver already has 2 yaw clicks, so the extra yaw isn't going to do anything for you. But it is allowing you to help control your speed after going so fast. So now you can, do your Engine Techs maneuver. There we are. But again, it allows you to slow your ship down after zooming. All right, what are some other things here we need to make sure we're covering? Let's talk about the gravity rift. So the gravity rift, remember, if you are at distance 1 to 2 of it, it does slow your ship speed by 1. So if, again, in this example, if this Swift Return was already traveling at speed 4, when you reach a determined core step, it's going to reduce the speed of your maneuver by 1. So even though your dial on your ship is set to 4, technically you're traveling at speed 3. Now, what a lot of people, again, you can't do this, but a lot of people still somehow think that you can. It's like, oh, well, I just speed back up to speed 4. Well, no, that's not how that works. Your speed dial is already speed 4. It's temporarily reduced to a speed 3 maneuver, but the speed on your dial has not changed. So you can't suddenly go from speed 4 to speed 5. Speed 5 doesn't exist. No ship can go speed 5. You can't exceed your maximum speed of a ship. Same thing if a ship was, max speed is speed 2. It can't go from speed 2 to speed 3 on its speed dial because the maximum speed it can travel at is speed 2 if it's a speed 2 ship. Okay, you guys understand what I'm saying? So you just can't overspeed, through the speed reduction. It is a permanent reduction for that maneuver. You just can't get past it. But if you are, for example, going speed 2 and you're a speed 4 ship, and so it reduces your speed to 1, well, then you can speed up on your speed dial from 2 to 3, which then allows you to make a speed 2 maneuver. Okay? So if you're going slower than your max speed, you can speed up to try to counteract that reduction. But again, if you already are traveling at max speed, you can't exceed max speed to go faster. There is no ludicrous speed. You can't turn plaid, can't do any of that. So this is also not only for the gravity rift, but also for the experimental card, the G8 experimental projector. So it works very similar to how the gravity rift works. Again, it's reducing your speed by 1. So again, making sure that I'm pointing these interactions out. Let's go to the KARM here. Again, we talked about how to measure, how the card works, the outposts. Let's talk about thrust control malfunction. So thrust control malfunction So this card, what it does is that it is reducing your yaw value for your last adjustable joint at whatever your current speed is. It's reduced by 1. So in all cases, the last adjustable joint for any of your speeds is, speed 2, you got a yaw 2, and from 2, 3, and 4 onwards, your last adjustable joint is always at the last speed. So when you first pull out your maneuver tool and you determine course step, the card effect immediately hits you and smacks you and says, hey, your last adjustable joint, it's now reduced by 1. So for example, if this charger was traveling at speed 4, it would only have 1 yaw, 0 yaw, 1 yaw, then 0 yaw. But that reduction, since it happens at the start of the determined course step, you can add yaw back into that joint with card effects. So you could use Swift Return's ability to add a yaw back into your speed 4 last adjustable joint to put it back to 1. Or again, you could put it at your speed 3 or speed 1 to make that a yaw 2, or to your 2 joint to make it a yaw 1. So I just want to make sure I'm being clear that, you can overcome, this detriment of this card. That card hardly ever. Sometimes it has an effect on some games, but it's pretty much a pretty minor card to get hit with. But that is Swift Return. So, of course, if you feel like I missed anything or if I got anything wrong, if you have additional questions, please be sure to leave a comment here in my YouTube channel or come find me on the Discords. I'm on so many Discords, or the Facebook group. You can tag me on there. I post my stuff and content on there all the time. But yeah, I'm so excited for the new Clone Wars content coming out. I can't wait to start digging into some of those cards because as you all know, I love super wordy cards. But there's just a lot there. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited for the new ships and, of course, to continue reviewing these cards. Yeah, if you have anything, let me know. And thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.